Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Uh, Before I start the review, a little sustenance. So, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. I was admittedly somewhat excited about this. Initially, I was very excited because it was announced that the next Transformers film would incorporate Beast Wars into it. And I'm like, yes, because, that was my shit growing up, man. That was my Transformers. Beast Wars. You know what I mean? So I was excited for that. I finally wanted to see a Beast Wars movie on the big screen. So I was ready, right? And then they also have Beast Machines, by the way, which was the sequel series in the early 2000s. But anyway, I was ready for that, right? And then they announced it would be called Rise of the Beasts. Okay, no, we can't just call it Transformers Beast Wars. Whatever. And then they came out with more plot elements. It's going to take place in 1994. It's going to be technically a sequel to Bumblebee. And I went, wait, no. Beast Wars takes place on an ancient version of Earth, way in the past, where humans do not exist. Well, they do exist. They're Neanderthals. So they don't have a big presence in the goings on. They're innocents. They don't fight back. They don't do nothing. And one of the big complaints with these Transformers movies is there's too much focus on the human characters, which, of course, there is focus on the human characters in this movie. And there's good and bad with that. We'll get to it, but yeah, right away I was kind of turned my nose at this, being like, I don't know how I like that. And even more so, the fact that Optimus Prime are going to be sharing screen time, because I went, no. Optimus Primal is the descendant of Optimus Prime from the future. They even eventually find the bodies or whatever of Megatron and Optimus Prime in the past. They kind of connect that to the original G1 Transformers in Beast Wars. So there is that kind of connection. And then more stuff came out, like, oh, it's taking place in 1994. Okay. The villains are going to be called the Terracons, not the Predacons. What? Now, before you start getting into actually, I know Transformers Prime did something similar to this. I don't care. That's not what I want. I wanted a Beast Wars movie. Now, having said that, I think they did a decent job with this film. However, I think one of my biggest complaints is the use of the Maximals. Clearly, they're just in the movie to say, hey, look, put the Maximals in this movie, because there's not really much of anything with them. Airazor gets the most screen time, and honestly, going into this, someone told me, hey, the Maximals from Beast Wars? Yeah? Airazor gets the most screen time, and I would go, why? I wouldn't believe you. Because Airazor, honestly, to me, is not a notable Maximal. She wasn't even one of the original Maximals. She showed up in a space pod. And was... Because, in that series, there are still other Transformers, and the space pod lands, and either the Predacons find them and turn them into Predacons, or the Maximals find them and turn them into Maximals. And she was found and turned into a Maximal. Her boyfriend, Tigertron, is not in this movie. In fact, the Maximals we get are Optimus Primal, Cheetor, Airazor, Rhinox. That's it. No Rat Trap, no Tigertron, nothing. At least Rat Trap should have been there. He was one of the initial Maximals to land on ancient Earth. So, yeah. And if you're going to do if you want an initial group, those are the ones to do. Optimus Primal, Cheetor, Rhinox, Rat Trap, Airazor, and Tigertron. Those are the 6 you want to do. However, because we also have to compete with the Autobots, which are Optimus Prime, RC, Bumblebee, Mirage, and Wheeljack. Yeah. Then we have to also kind of cut down how many Maximals in it. And I feel like because we have to share the screen with both, that the Maximals unfortunately get put to the wayside really until the big final battle. You know, you get the Maximize thing at the end, you get this fight, you get Prime and Primal fighting side by side with each other at the end, but I just feel like I needed more Beast Wars stuff in it. The main villain, Scourge, is replaceable villain number 5. I hate to say it. To me, he's just another evil Transformer guy who wants to do something for a reason. Right? Now, the main villain, this is where the biggest complaint is going to come from. It's not really a complaint, it's a confusion. Because the big villain is Unicron. And so the thing is, they're trying to get the Transwarp key so that they can bring Unicron to Earth. Now, those of you who have watched the Transformers movies are probably thinking, wait, what do you mean bring Unicron to Earth? Didn't the last night say that Unicron was Earth? Yes, they did. But, you know, I guess they're retconning stuff. And they're trying to create a cinematic universe. I'll explain. But, yeah, they've retconned it. Which, to me, if we're going to erase all the other Transformer movies that came before this, that's fine. But it feels like they're also trying to stick to something. To me, I feel like it already does, because like stuff's going on, stuff's happening, but so they already retconned the first one. If you think about it, like Bumblebee was a small scale thing. Section 13 came in and they probably kept everything quiet, that whole thing. But now this is big scale. I mean, it's in Peru, but still, it's something big. And they could just write it off in the next one. I guess they're planning 2 more in the next one, saying, oh, well, it was just in Peru and they're able to keep their mouth shut, you know, that sort of thing. But, yeah. The human characters. Okay, let's talk about the human characters. I actually like the human characters. Now, like with Bumblebee, I feel like Michael Bay had only a little to do with this. There's your standard action, explosion things going on in this movie, but the comedy, the characters, the story, and the plot, it works. It actually works, and these characters are likable, which is how you know Michael Bay did not write this film, or didn't have anything, didn't put his fingers all over this film, because in most of his Transformers films, the characters are very unlikable. From masturbation jokes to Shia LaBeouf screaming at the top of his lungs. I'll stand on an island the whole time saying that Shia LaBeouf was only good in the first Transformers movie, and then they just progressively, he started to spaz out in every other movie he was in. I like Mark Wahlberg, but even he was just a replacement for, I mean, he was less yelly, but he was just more, hey, look, I'm Mark Wahlberg. I got abs, and I got a Wahlburger for you. That whole thing. And like I said, with the plot line, I would be okay if they retcon the last 2, Age of Extinction and The Last Knight, and ended with the Battle of Chicago being the last point in this story. So we're kind of going through this and leading to that first thing. Now, we could be retconning stuff completely like the X-Men series did, where it's not going to lead up completely, even though I always wish that the last movie in the prequel series would end with a connection to the original X-Men, but that was too far gone by then. they could do something like that. Anthony Ramos plays our main character, Diego, I want to say his name is or something. I don't remember. But he's likable. He has, something to prove. They always say he's flaky. They say he's been in the army before, but he's been flaky and fighting and not a team, not teamwork, which, is a story plot line for him, of course. And then he's got this little brother who has sickle cell and needs medical attention, but, needs medicine. But no one will help him because they don't have the insurance to do it. So, so he's got to go out and get a job. And the question I ask is, his mom doesn't have a job? Like, she's pushing him. You got to go out there and interview. You got to get a job. And I'm like, what about you, mama? You got a job? He's living with you. I mean, I understand you got to go out and get a job. But, this is 1994. Women were, already, headstrong and doing their own thing. She could get a job, too, to help. I'm not saying she has to do everything, but help. You know what I mean? On his shoulders. And then we have Elena, who works at the museum and finds the little thing with the maximal thing on it that contains the first half of the transwarp key that would take the whole thing. And Scourge and his Terrorcons are after the key to bring Unicron to Earth. Now, we established this in the beginning of the movie, where it's like centuries ago, and the Maximals are driven from their home, which I think could be Cybertron in the future, and they're driven back to the ancient times. I'm guessing it could imply that the Beast Wars happened, and they're the survivors, but it couldn't have happened the way they did in there because, one, spoiler alert for the series ends with them leaving and going back to Cybertron, which connects to this. I'm just saying. But, and also there's a bunch of changes in the looks of characters. You got Fusors and Transmetals and Transmetal 2. And by the end of Beast Wars, Optimus Primal looks more like Optimus Prime than anything. He's more machine than Beast now. But, yeah, I'm just saying. But, yeah, we start off with this exposition. They want the Transwarp Key. And we're going to go somewhere else to protect it, to hide it. And then, boom, Transformers Rise of the Beast, right? 30 minutes of exposition with our human characters before we get anything with the Transformers again. Why? Why do that? Because you have that opening that it gets everybody going. It's like, right, let's do this. Let's introduce you to our human characters for 30 minutes with only one Transformer interaction. Which leads me to a bit of a gripe. Mirage, played by Pete Davidson. Now, I'm probably the only one in the world that actually likes Pete Davidson. I think he's funny. Yes, he's got issues, but who doesn't, right? I like his water commercial. Hey, I have a smart water or whatever. I have the Crunch Wrap thing. I like those commercials that he does, but honestly, he wasn't bad in Bodies. But I think he does a good job as Mirage. The only issue is, clearly, he's a Bumblebee replacement. How do I know that? Because, literally, during one of the first fights, Bumblebee gets killed. Yes. And then it's just Mirage with our main character throughout the film until the final battle happens and then they bring Bumblebee back. Yeah, Bumblebee's not completely dead. There's a prequel after all. Who knows? But, yeah. And they kind of go about it the way in the first Transformers, where the first Transformers Sam was trying to get a new car. Happens to be Bumblebee. But in this one, he is talked to by his friend to steal a car for money. It happens to be Mirage. There's this chase with the cops. And it ends up, him being connected to the Autobots. And of course, he's against it. He just but then he's talked into helping. And then he runs into Elena. And they're both talked into this. And yeah, And while Airbender has the most screen time, or the most dialogue, I should say dialogue, not screen time, she is killed off because this is a plot point I don't really care for. She gets infected by Scourge. Apparently his touch can turn you. She goes to get turned and she gets killed. I guess I would have expected more. But then again, there's other characters in the movie you want to... I don't think Rhinox gets a word. And here's the thing. Optimus Primal is voiced by Ron Perlman. Now, originally, when they announced this movie, I thought it was going to be straight up Beast Wars, and they said Ron Perlman was voicing him. And I went, why not just have Peter Cullen do it? They're supposed to be descendants. It'll work. And then I found out he was going to play Optimus Prime in it, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I found out Rhinox, and I'm like, Perlman would make a better Rhinox than he would Primal, excuse me. And I'm thinking, well, if you're going to have Peter Cullen come back to voice Optimus Prime, why can't you have Gary Chalk come back to do Primal? You know? And by the way, we don't get one that's just Prime from Optimus Primal in this movie. Okay? There's no Megatron, so I wasn't expecting a yes. Maybe Scourge could have done it, I guess. But no, not one that's just Prime from Primal. Come on. That's his catchphrase. And Cheetor. Cheetor doesn't do anything. He helps fight. Cheetor is the second in command of the Maximals. In this movie, it's more like Airazor was, because Airazor reports to Primal. So that's what it seems like. Although, like I said, she dies, so... Before you go, well, I thought Rhinox was... Well, it goes like this. Optimus Primal is the leader. Cheetor is the second in command. Next would be Rhinox, but he's also artillery. And then you have Rat Trap, who is the gizmos, gadgets, that sort of thing, the tech support. And then Airazor and Tigertron are also, scouts in the field. Tigertron is always walking around in the field. He always reports when he sees things. Airazor, same thing. So, yeah, that's how that was. But there's no Tigertron, there's no Rat Trap, so there's not really a chain of command. But it seems like Airazor is more the second in command than Cheetor. And Cheetor doesn't really get many lines in this movie. More than Rhinox, because Rhinox, I don't think he says this damn thing. But, yeah. Oh no, though, I did enjoy this movie. All right. I don't think it's better than Bumblebee. I think it's better than some of the other sequels that are out there. There's some great action sequences, especially in the finale. There's a whole thing with Anthony Ramos' character, when Mirage, quote-unquote, gets killed, he becomes like an armor for Anthony Ramos' character, and he helps fight, which is pretty cool, right? Fighting in the final battle with Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal, taking down Scourge. Prime does this Mortal Kombat thing. He rips out Scourge's head with the spine, just severs it, puts him through lava. Great action. Bumblebee comes down. Bumblebee returns to, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Ma said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out. Which, pretty cool. I would have loved if this is how we do it. I think it came out in 94, right? That's in the song. Once upon a time in 94. So maybe it's not 94? I don't know. I just listened to that song earlier. I'll have to look it up. But anyway. Yeah. By the way, there is a hook at the end of this that connects two Hasbro universes together. Okay? So the whole thing was that Anthony Ramos' character was trying to get a job, right? And so at the end of this film, he's got an interview with this guy. You've probably seen him in a bunch of other stuff. I think he's been in Zack Snyder movies before. And he's interviewing for this stuff, and he seems to know about what happened in Peru. And you're supposed to insinuate. The insinuation is that he's supposed to be Section 13, right? That's what you're supposed to think. He's Section 13. He's got this whole thing. He turns the thing. He goes into a secret thing. And it's like, okay, he's Section 13, you know. But then he looks down at the card and it says G.I. Joe. Are you fucking kidding me? I know I heard for years they were trying to connect them. Clearly, they're also rebooting G.I. Joe. And because Snake Eyes bombed, obviously they're going to have to do something. They're trying to do that with the Transformers. I think it could work. I think it could work if you reboot it and do it right. I would like a solo G.I. Joe film first, please. Not just reintroduce them in there. And you can use this guy as sort of a lead-in. You go like 1995. He's new to this. He's a recruit. He joined the other Joes. You have Duke and Roadblock and other stuff. Not portrayed by The Rock, by the way. You know, Scarlet, all of them. Just probably new actors because it's going to be a different thing, but you can connect it. The only issue is going to be now is that for some reason they are hesitant on bringing back Megatron. Clearly they're retconning stuff, so can't you retcon where Megatron is? Because clearly you cannot connect this to the original films now. There's already too much retconned, right? Unless, again, it's just swept under, Peru is just swept under the rug. And they just keep doing that. Although, if they have another film and something's just swept under the rug, I'm going to start asking questions. Because I find it hard to believe that all this other stuff happened before the events of the 2007 film. I don't know. It's also going to be an animated film with Chris Hemsworth doing the voice of Optimus Prime. Yeah, people say, well, it's because Peter Cullen's too old. No, it's because they want a celebrity to do the voice instead of a voice actor. It's the same problem with the Super Mario Brothers. They could have clearly gotten some voice actors to do those voices, but they'd rather have celebrities because they can make more money. So it's not about Peter Cullen and how good he is as Optimus Prime or how old he's getting. It's because they wanted a bankable actor to do the voice. That's how it is. They'd rather go for bankable actors to do voices, which is why you get Donkey Kong, voiced by Seth Green, sound like Seth Green, and that's what you're going to get. And even you had some actors in here too. Michelle Yeoh is Air Rachel. She was all right. I thought Ron Perlman was good as Primal. And of course, there's Bumblebee. Once again, does not have his voice. Which is fine. It's become a thing now. And there is a nod to Bumblebee, the movie Bumblebee, because Optimus Prime doesn't trust humans. So this is the story of how he learned to trust humans. Bumblebee vouches for them. Because I know there was one before, but I don't know. Overall, I enjoy this. I'd say it's pretty good. I think they've done a decent job with the Transformers franchise since Michael Bay stopped directing them and is only a producer. And by the looks of these two movies, had very little to do with the films. Because I thought this was decent. Right? I will do a ranking, but I don't know if I'm going to do it right away. I haven't decided yet. Or if I'm going to wait till the Blu-ray comes out. And so I have all the physical media right there to do it, to show you. Easier. I have to rewatch the movie again, but but I will say it's up there in like the top 5, I think. You know what I mean? Because I still hold the first Transformers movie as the best. I think I'll have to relook over it. It might have changed, but I like the first Transformers movie. I think 3 is underrated. A bit too long, but I think it's underrated. Bumblebee, this one, of course, the 80s one. So those are kind of in my 5, I think. Then the other ones, to take them or leave them. 2, 4, and 5, take them or leave them, whatever. The only good thing about the last 2 is Mark Wahlberg, and even in the 5th one, it feels like he's just kind of there. I'm Marky Mark, by Wahlberg is Bud Light. Well, that's the 4th one, but still, whatever. So thank you for watching. But what are your thoughts on Transformers Rise of the Beast? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. I got 2 episodes of Otis Takes Over the Universe left. They're short ones because I started recording, well, it could have been the final episode. And then halfway through, 30 minutes through or something like that, I got frustrated with the match I was in and I stopped. Then I took a break, a breather, cooler heads prevailed, and I recorded another part. So that's why they're only going to be like 25, 30 minutes a piece, because it was technically one episode cut in 2. So just look for those, but just beware of that. So thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.